And in multiple House races, many more Democratic incumbents chose not to seek re-election to their seat, more so than Republicans. That's 31 compared to 18. Many Democrats took history into account and decided to retire rather than face a potential GOP wave. So, which party should feel better in this final stretch? Well, no one better to ask than retiring Democratic Congresswoman Sherry Bustos of Illinois, who also served once as chair of the Democratic House campaign arm. Congresswoman, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. We appreciate your time. I want to put you back in your old job for a moment as DCCC chair and ask you what your odds are of Democrats keeping the House.
I won't apply any odds because all you do if you apply odds is you'll prove yourself wrong. But look, I think we've got something great to run on. We are on a roll. President Biden has signed into law the Inflation Reduction Act. We have capped seniors' out-of-pocket health care costs through Medicare at $2,000. We have capped the $35 a month for the cost of insulin for Medicare patients. We are getting high-speed internet to every corner of this country. All of that is happening as we speak right now. So I think we've got a great record to run on. And to your point on the poll that you just showed, look, I come from a district that Donald Trump won. I'm the only woman left in Congress who won in 16 and 18 and 20 in a Trump district. And so I understand the swing nature of being a Democrat in a Republican district. I can tell you this, 10 years ago, you couldn't say the word abortion without getting booed out of a room. Nobody wanted to talk about it. It was a losing issue. Now it's got people fired up. Nobody wants Uncle Sam in their doctor's office. And the MAGA Republicans they're to the point where they want to criminalize women who are only seeking health care needs that are important to them. I don't know anybody who wants an abortion, but there are women who have to have one for various reasons. And the MAGA Republicans are looking to criminalize that.
On that note, you announced your retirement before the Dobbs decision came out. If it had come out sooner, would that have kind of reversed your thinking here? Or maybe some other vulnerable Dems, would it have given them pause and said, well, maybe this will be an issue that could help us?
No. In my case, I've been in office for 10 years. I've loved this job. And I never planned to make this a career for the rest of my life. I was a journalist for 17 years, worked in healthcare for 10 years. I've done this for 10 years. And I do a deep dive on my own life every decade. And I thought, you know what, it's time. I'm still young enough, still energetic enough that I want to have another career. So the district that I represent gets 10 points better for a Democrat. Eric Sorensen, who's running in the seat that I'm in, has a great shot at winning. But we've got great Democrats running all over the country, including in the districts where members have made a decision not to run for re-election. And everybody's decision has been very personal.
I want to talk a little bit about these competitive districts like the one that you ran in. I'm seeing a lot of ads related to crime with Democrats out there talking about their credentials in terms of law enforcement. What does that signal to you that they're taking this issue head on? I mean, does it signal a vulnerability that Democrats have? I know you've been critical of the party for some of the rhetoric.
Well, I come to it very much from a personal perspective. I'm married to the sheriff of Rock Island County, Illinois, where I've lived for close to 40 years. My husband's been in law enforcement for 40 years. And the point that I made about that is when we were all living through this, the George Floyd horrors, where there were very bad police officers who murdered a man, and that was horrible behavior, a horrible act by a police officer. But most police officers, and I know many, most are very good people. My husband has been in law enforcement, as I said, for 4 decades. It has an unblemished record for treating people respectfully. And so my criticism is, we don't want to be lumped in with all politicians. They're bad politicians who have gone to prison for corruption. But we don't all want to be lumped in with them. And that's what I say about police officers. There's great police officers and there's bad ones. So,
but do some of these ads suggest that Democrats think this is a liability for them?
Well, we're working on legislation right now that would make sure that we get training in the right place for small police departments that are having a hard time affording the training that they need to run great departments. we're looking at legislation right now that we may be voting on in the next week or so, or maybe after the election, that we'll take a look at making sure we're doing right by police departments. So I would say this. I've been in office for 10 years now. We're the party that is searching for solutions. We don't always get it right, but we're at least trying. You know, the $10,000 that we're giving to students to relieve them on their student loan debt. And then we have the MAGA Republicans who are critical about that. Well, what did they do when they had their guy in the White House and they were in control in the House and the Senate? You know, so we're looking for solutions. We're passing solutions. And I think that is the big difference between what we stand for as Democrats and what the MAGA Republicans are out there trying to stoke
Congresswoman,
fear.
I want to ask a quick question really quickly about the DCCC had been spending a lot of money to boost up some extremist candidates on the Republican side. Was that a mistake?
Are you referring to the Peter Meyer race in Michigan? Look, politics ain't beanbag, right? You know, I mean, in the end, you got to win. You can't govern unless you win. And on a personal level, Peter Meyer's a good guy. But in the end, the choice was by the DCCC. I'm not over there anymore, and I did not make that decision. But they're in this to win it, and I think that's what the decision was.
But does the party, you know, that's kind of campaigning as this vanguard of democracy risk that reputation if they make moves like this?
Look, you can't govern if you don't win. And I'm not in a position where I want to criticize the guy who followed me as chair of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. That's his decision to make. But I know that, look, I'll harken back to Rahm Emanuel, who I consider the best chair of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee in at least my memory. And his recruits, how he recruited candidates, how he made sure that everything was focused on winning. That is how we won back the majority when he was chair. So, look, I know that as Democrats, we are on the right side of doing right by people. We are not looking to stoke fear. We are not criminalizing women on their health care decisions. We are not looking to put doctors in jail. We are looking to help people help themselves. We are looking to help communities. And so in the end, I just want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to hold on to this very fragile majority. And so I am not critical of that decision. I think in the end, we just have to do what we can honorably and respectfully to win.
All right. A fragile majority indeed. And we'll see how these next 48 days go. Congresswoman Cheri Bustos, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Caitlin.